Next, from the state capitol, we talk with former Republican gubernatorial candidate Andrzejewski about his efforts to require the state to undertake a forensic accounting and why he argues that this could save the state over $1 billion. This runs about 9 minutes. Andrzejewski, most people recently found out about you as a Republican candidate for governor, and you've still been working within the political policy arena. Tell us what it is you're currently working on, that you had a press conference here at the Capitol just a few moments ago.
Well, I didn't win the election, the primary election, Republican for governor, but the ideas are winning. And today we saw evidence of the ideas winning. The House Republican Caucus, Leader Tom Cross, they've picked up the idea of the forensic audit of state spending. We did a press conference in the Blue Room today introducing this into the House. House Republicans are showing the courage of their convictions and real leadership, and we've put forward the forensic audit of state spending going back 9 years, all the way back through every single year of the Blagojevich spending, all the way up to the current fiscal year underneath Governor Quinn.
Let's tell people what that term means, because a lot of people are not familiar with it. What would a forensic audit entail?
Well, a forensic audit is a deep audit, it's an evidentiary audit, it's an audit that follows the money, and it's an audit that holds up in court. So people want to know where every dime of state spending is going, and people also want to know that there's controls on that state spending going forward, that it's benchmarked, that there's metrics attached to it for results. So the best thing about a forensic audit is it provides the proof, the evidence of where the money's going, what the controls are, and what the benchmarks and metrics are on that spending. And that's, I think, what's necessary to rebuild the shattered trust of the people of Illinois in their government.
You had suggested that as a part of your campaign, as you already noted. What kind of savings, if any, would you expect such an audit to produce?
Well, personally, I would expect $3 to $5 billion worth of savings to be produced by the audit in terms of streamlining the end of redundancies, putting controls to end graft, the elimination of the corruption tax, which is deep here in Illinois. In the press conference that we said probably we'll be able to save $1.25 billion. That number is not in dispute. The liberal professor at the University of Illinois at Chicago, Dick Simpson, says that 5% of all state spending is corruption and waste and graft. The accountants that I talked to that have specialized in the forensic accounting field going back for their entire careers, Big Four managers of forensic audit departments, feel that much more than 5% could be saved. One guy even said up to 25% on a good, solid forensic audit. So these are not my numbers. I just say anywhere from, personally, I feel $3 to $5 billion could be saved. The public number that we're putting out is $1.25 billion. That's substantial.
And I want to be clear, how would the savings manifest itself? Is it because you find that you're paying two different people to do the same thing, or two different agencies? Where do the savings come when you go through a budget as you're talking about?
Well, first off, it comes from just understanding the basic financial data of the state. Back in October of 2007, the Auditor General, William Holland, he wrote a report that he could not even quantify the number of state programs. He identified 1,750 state programs. He compared that up to the Comptroller's annual report, which said that there was only 252 state programs. The Comptroller's report said that there was 69 state agencies. The Auditor General said that there was 100 state agencies. If we don't know the number of state programs, if the number of state agencies are in dispute, we don't even have a grasp of the basic financial data on a $52 billion state budget. There's a lot of waste, fraud, corruption, and abuse in this budget that we can hone out.
On the politics of it, you mentioned Republican leader Tom Cross being with you, and you ran as a Republican. Is this a contentious partisan issue, or are you getting any support from the Democratic side? And have you gone to the governor's office to say, Governor Quinn, would you consider taking this on as an issue?
Well, in my race for governor, I was running on the forensic audit to come out of the governor's office on an executive order. Governor Quinn knows that. He has chosen not to do it by executive order. So in the absence of that leadership, we want to empower the independent Auditor General, who has a pristine reputation on a bipartisan basis here in Springfield, and his name's Bill Holland. And so we want to take politics out of the mix. And that's why empowering with subpoena power, the current Auditor General Holland, with that great reputation to spearhead this, takes it out of the political arena, and it allows substantial and hard nonpartisan policy to be run by those leaders here in Springfield that have political courage. The Republican House Caucus is leading on this.
Okay, now as I was going to ask, and that is the nature of the legislation that's been introduced by Representative Cross then, and the House Republicans, that it would empower Bill Holland, the Auditor General, to have subpoena power so that he could conduct a forensic audit. Is that the idea?
Absolutely, absolutely.
When would such an audit, if it were to pass, at what point would he have that power?
Immediately, and this is why we went the resolution route in the Illinois House. When this passes, the Auditor General would be in charge to start on this immediately.
Do you know where Speaker Madigan and the House Democrats are on this?
Well, Terry, as you know, the name of the game in Springfield is to stay in the game. Michael Madigan's been here for 40 years. This is probably an 80 to 90% positive issue with the people of Illinois. I would expect Speaker Madigan to get behind this forensic audit of state spending.
And go ahead.
The nice thing about the examples of where this has been instituted successfully in other states is it does come from Democrats. It's the Democratic governor in Kansas, Kathleen Sebelius, that balanced her budget in 2004 when she took the office of governor. She faced a $1 billion budget deficit. By doing a forensic audit of top to bottom spending, she was able to balance the budget without raising taxes. The second example comes out of Texas, where the Democrat Ann Richards saved $8 billion. So as you can see, auditing is not a Republican issue or a Democratic issue, it's a good government issue.
When Governor Richards saved $8 billion, do you know what their operating budget was or how much their combined budget was? So that was $8 billion out of how much money?
I don't know that top line figure in Texas. I do know it in Kansas. Kansas is 5 times smaller than Illinois. Their operating budget is somewhere around $11 to $12 billion. So this was significant savings.
$2 billion.
She saved $1 billion on 11 to 12 billion.
Okay, so almost just 10% of that area, roughly. Very good. What else is ahead for Adam Andrzejewski? Or do you ever anticipate running for office again, or are there other tasks that you're going to be setting yourself on?
Well, I just came off, as you know, 11 months on the campaign trail. It's a really big state. I have a 5-year-old at home, a 3-year-old at home, and a 1-year-old at home. I don't rule out a run for office in the future, but right now I'm really enjoying being a good father, husband, and private citizen, and being able to spearhead the good, substantial policies that I ran on for office. The ideas are winning, and I'm proud about that, and I feel really good about that.
What if anything, and we won't keep you much longer, but I'm sure it's quite a learning curve to running for office. You get insights that the average citizen would never. What are some of the things you learned from being on the campaign trail that maybe surprised you, or you just, that you had never reflected on?
Well, I think I always knew this, that the people of Illinois are good people from top to bottom, and they're quite frankly disgusted with the Illinois political class. The people get it. They're ready for reform. And I came really close. I came within 5% against the biggest names in the Republican Party establishment, and I started with 0 statewide name ID, and even on election day I probably only had 65% statewide name ID. So we earned every single one of our 112,000 votes on the campaign trail. We ran a clean campaign, an honest campaign. Terry, nobody votes for Andrzejewski because they like the last name. It was the ideas that the people were voting for, and that's why we see today that the ideas are being carried forward here in Springfield. Kudos to the Illinois Republican Caucus and Leader Tom Cross for carrying forth the hard and good substantial ideas that I ran on the campaign trail.
Well, we'll let you go. Adam Andrzejewski, thanks for stopping in and talking with us again.
Great to be here. Thank you, Terry. Thanks for covering.
You're watching the Illinois Channel, an independent nonprofit corporation formed to provide gavel-to-gavel coverage of Illinois state government and other public affairs events taking place across Illinois.